David Smith here with another Flip Classroom math video. A few tips before we start. Remember that you can slow down or speed up the playback if that helps you follow along. You can also pause the video at any point to catch up with your notes or to try the problems before I explain them. Finally, you could turn on the captions and read my words below on the bottom of your screen. Today's video covers a specific test that you can use to determine whether or not a relation is a function or not. So, the vertical line test. It's very straightforward. If a vertical line passes through the graph of a relation only once, then the relation is a function. All right, I've put three graphs here, three relations. Remember, every function is also a relation. It's just that functions are more specific than relations. So take a look, three graphs. What I'd like you to do is do a vertical line test and tell me which ones are functions and which ones are relations. Okay, vertical lines through this parabola. Any vertical line can only cross the parabola once, function. Circle. Any vertical line that passes through the circle is most likely going to hit the circle at 2 points. So this is a relation. Finally, this cubic function here has vertical lines that pass through it, but they're only going to hit it in one place, function. All right, let's take a look at two relations, one a function, one not, and use what we know about relations and functions and mapping to confirm why the vertical line test works. So, first one, standard quadratic equation, the simplest possible one, y equals x squared. I've mapped my parabola, and I've drawn a couple vertical lines to show that you're never going to pass through that graph more than once with a vertical line. So, here's our mapping. Minus 2 goes to 4, minus 1 to 1, 0 to 0, 1 to 1, and 2 to 4. So that's your standard mapping for a quadratic function. And you'll notice that we have a many-to-one relationship. Notice how the minus 2 here maps to 4, as does the positive 2, and the minus 1 maps to 1, as does the positive 1. So that's fine. We have a many-to-one, and that is indeed works for a function. So given what we already looked at in terms of functions and relations, this mapping confirms what we've got. Now, take a look at this sideways quadratic. This is just x equals y squared. That's the only difference there. And you could do a vertical line test on this graph, and you can see right away that the first vertical line I drew touches the graph in 2 places. So right there, we know this is a relation, not a function. Now, let's take a look at the mapping. So if we have 4 is going to map to -2, 1 is going to map to -1, 0 to 0. Now here's what's interesting is 1, again, is going to map to positive 1. And 4, again, we have a 4 here. Now the 4 is mapping to 2. So now we have a one-to-many. This side is 1, but it will map either to 2 or -2, as the 1 will map to -1 or positive 1. So this is a one-to-many, and that means that that is a relation. So in looking at the graph, you can see that here's my 1, whatever value of x is. Let's say that's our 4. Now the 4 for x can either be positive 2 or -2 for y. So that's what the vertical line does, is it tests for this one-to-many relationship, which then tells you you've got a relation but not a function. Now that you've finished, write down any questions so you can bring them to our next class and get some help. Remember that you can always watch the video again to improve your understanding. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button down below, and if you'd like to help me grow my YouTube channel, please click subscribe.